More of the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
Welcome back in, Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. Time right now in the Princeton Orthopedic Associates Studios. 5:17, Penn State, Wisconsin. Big Ten championship on Saturday. You can listen to that big game championship right here on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. Pre-game coverage begins at 7:45. One of the best players to ever come out of Penn State is LaVar Arrington, who's kind enough to join us right now. LaVar, appreciate a few minutes, and how are you?
No worries, Zach. I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, and I always love when I get to talk a little football with you. I have to tease you, though, a little bit. I saw you on the sidelines in Happy Valley on Saturday, and I saw a video surface of you singing. You got to work on your singing voice, LaVar.
The sweet Caroline.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me tell you something. When you got 100,000 plus singing with you, you don't really have to have that good of a singing voice.
Absolutely,
especially
right.
when you're winning. When you're winning at the time that you start singing, and it's freezing cold. You know, all those elements at play. You know, I just don't go too hard on me, man.
Trust me, my singing voice is awful as well. When people think about you at Penn State, though, one play does come back to mind, and we know how great of a linebacker you were and all the accolades that you won at Penn State. People think of the LeVar Leap. What do you remember about that play?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was something that I had done quite a bit in high school, just based off of preparation and belief and what it is that you're doing. I mean, I never looked at myself as being great. I always looked at myself as an underdog and someone who wanted to be, you know, that guy that they said, wow, he works hard, or wow, he hustles. And, you know, that play kind of was all those things, you know, kind of wrapped up into one. It's you know, a lot of times people say, well, that's freelancing, or he's undisciplined, or different things like that. I would challenge anybody who saw the play, who felt that way, to go try to do it and understand all the elements in play that have to play out for you to be able to even try to attempt to make a play like that. So, you know, for me, I just always wanted to be as well prepared, and I just wanted to be, you know, the best at what it was that I was doing. And just so happens I was fortunate enough where, you know, the stars would align for me every once in a while, and I was able to give the fans and the onlookers something to take home and remember.
And no question, you did that at Penn State. And this year, the Penn State program has given their fans something to remember. And it's one
Absolutely.
that was a little bit unexpected, to say the least. Right when that blocked field goal happened, the entire complexion of their season after the Ohio State win totally changed, and they had aspirations for this Big Ten championship game. LaVar, you know this. It's crazy. A few weeks ago, people were talking about if the coach would even return. What were your thoughts about James Franklin before the year, and what are your thoughts about the job that he's done now at Penn State?
Well, it's well documented that I've supported the coaching staff from the off season through training camp, through the 2 losses, through where we are now. It's a process to rebuild something that's been toppled down. And obviously, Penn State is one of the more interesting programs based upon everything that's taken place, you know, and with everything that's happened. So we knew it was going to be a tough job. And the one thing that I wanted to see from the person that was taking over as the coach was that they believed in Penn State. They believed in the people. They believed in the community, and they believed that you know, the things that were being stated about us were certainly not true. You can't take and generalize an entire community based off of one person's wrongdoings. And I always felt like this coaching staff, you know, James Franklin pulled together, really, really embraced what Penn State is and what Penn State can be. And so I was high on them. I support them. And I think they've done a fine job. You know, a lot of people was questioning whether he could coach or not, or if he's over his head with Harbaugh and all these other guys, you know, that Urban Meyer and, you know, Lovey came into the Big Ten now. And, you know, can a guy like James Franklin hold his weight against those type of coaching powerhouses? And, you know, he's showing that he can.
And it's only going to be with more time that he's going to continue to win over more people at the university and the doubters. When you first met him, what was that conversation like when you first met the head football coach at Penn State, James Franklin?
Well, he's a charismatic guy. You know, the first thing you see is he's not a little guy. You know, he's actually pretty tall fella. Like, he's a good sized guy, and you know, he played quarterback in college. He played ball. So, you know, you see him, and he's got a charisma about him. He's a good looking guy, and you know what? He says all the right things. And even sometimes when people say, well, you know, James Franklin has said things where maybe he couldn't deliver it. You know what? He's a head coach. And if he said something to get you fired up and to believe in the university and what they're trying to do, then God bless him for doing it. You know, as everybody would agree that a head coach has to be the president, the head politician of the team and of the organization. So I think he's really gotten the kids, the young men excited about playing again and believing, and he's got the community believing. And when I met him, you know, I believed in what it was that he was saying, and just hoped that he would have enough time, because you got to keep in mind that the fan base that is Penn State is made up of Pittsburgh Steelers people, Philadelphia Eagles people, New York Jets and Giants people. So when you look at what the clashing and the mashing of fan bases all into that one fan base, can you imagine how tense the moments get when you're not seeing what you want to see out of the program? So I think he's done an excellent job of shouldering the tense times that have come in front of them, and they've weathered the storm for now and for this season, and have shown that they're a program that's on the come up.
LaVar Arrington with us right now. If Penn State was to be victorious on Saturday, should they and will they get into the college football playoff?
Well, I mean, see, that's a trick question. And the reason why it's a trick question is because the proper answer is if they win on Saturday, of course they should be the representative or a representative in the college playoff. Why? Because if you have two teams, like, it's possible that Michigan and Ohio State will be selected to play in the game or in the playoff. Well, if they go to the playoff and Penn State wins on Saturday, and then they go and win in their bowl game, then now you're talking about there's a national title that has been awarded to the team that wasn't even the best team out of their conference. Does that make any sense to you? In the pros, if you win your division, you could be 5-11. If you win your division, you know what? You get into the playoffs. You win your division, you get in. So I think that it's a beautiful thing that there's a college playoff now. But I said earlier in the interview, I think it's moronic to actually think that you could rightfully crown a college champion, a national champion, if they're not even the champion of their own conference. Seems kind of weird.
Would you expand the playoff? Like, I'm an advocate of expanding it to 8
I
teams.
I would try to, and I know it's a complicated deal, but I would certainly try to expand it to the tune of, if you win your conference, then you're in. Like, what's wrong with that? Like, I think, that might be a lot of conferences. You pick the major conferences. All these schools are rushing and pushing to go to these conferences for the major paydays, right? We see all these people going to the Pac-10, going to the Big Ten, going to the SEC. All these leagues are expanding. All these conferences are expanding. To have a champion crowned as the conference champ and not be a representative in the bowl series, the playoff bowl series, but a team that you beat head-to-head is in it, and they did not even win the conference championship, the conference title. What does that say about your conference? What does that say about college, the college football landscape in general, if that's how you're crowning a national champ? It does. Again, I just find it hard to believe that there's a possibility that we could have a national title holder that didn't win their division or didn't win their conference and lost head-to-head to the team that won the conference. That's weird. Again, weird is the word of this interview. Say it with me, Zach. Weird. Say it with me. Say it with me.
All right, we'll go. Ready?
Weird.
1, 2, 3. Weird.
Weird.
There
we go.
So something that's going to be very interesting, though, on Saturday, and it's going to be a fun matchup, and we'll probably determine who wins this game, is the Penn State offense against the Wisconsin defense. McSorley is going to be a big key. Break down this offense against the Wisconsin defense.
Well, Wisconsin tackles well. They keep the plays in front of them. They do a very good job of that. They're very well prepared, and they know the dimensions of the field very well. The strengths of Penn State is that they're very, very strategic in how they position themselves during the course of a game. You've never seen them really have a dominant first half, but what they do is they take in the information, they set things up, and they're patient. Their patience has truly been the virtue of this offensive unit. You got to keep in mind, they're doing this with a patchwork offensive front. They've lost two or three very, very key important guys up front to season-long injuries. So they've been kind of reeling to try to kind of get around that. But what they do is they figure out what the defenses are trying to do to them, and their halftime adjustments have been so phenomenal all year long. Wisconsin, their challenge is going to have to be to try to get as big a lead as they possibly can before they go into halftime, because Penn State is a second-half team, and it'll be very difficult for Wisconsin, if the game is close, coming out into the second half, for them to be able to win that game.
Barkley is such an explosive and a dominant player. You know that, being a Penn State alum. Let's say if LaVar Arrington was playing on Saturday, how would you try to stop Barkley?
Yeah, I think that if that's your sole purpose in the game, then you're going to lose, because there are some really good receivers out there, and we got a really good tight end as well. So if that's the key, the one thing you will know is Saquon is going to give you every bit of what you're looking for while he's out there. And if that turns into what it needs to be for the offense to get the ball downfield, then it'll make it better for them strategically to be able to move the ball up and down the field.
LaVar Arrington with us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. LaVar, a former teammate of yours for a year, Matt Rhule, is doing a sensational job in this area with the Temple football team. Beat Penn State last year, got them on College game day, and then this year is back in his conference championship game. What do you remember about that year with Matt Rhule at Penn State?
I learned a lot from him. He's just a cerebral guy. I mean, he wasn't going to kill you with his athleticism. He's what you would call an average built guy. He wasn't going to be a world beater, when he was there. But the one thing that I took from him and Aaron Collins and those guys in that locker room, meeting room my freshman year, was how to study film, how to look at tendencies, really basically how to prepare yourself to be a college football player and to be a better football player. And he's continued that on into the college coaching ranks. He has done an amazing professional job at Temple. I'm super proud. And he was really able to be a solid contributor to the team because of how much field intelligence that he had. And that's what I really remember, about Matt, is that he was always energetic and always about getting better. And that was something that, was infectious with all of those upperclassmen when I first came in.
He's done a great job at finding those 2 or 3 star recruits and making them really great players. Does his background being an average player, does it help him probably identify that talent of okay guys that don't get a lot of looks and then make them into great players?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of average players that ended up being really awesome coaches. So I don't know. Maybe that's something that plays a part in what it is that he's looking for. But being a good coach is being a good coach, and that's being able to pull your team together, making sure that your team's on the same page, making sure that they appreciate, respect it, and that there's loyalty that's involved with what's going on, and putting them in the proper position to make things happen. I mean, that's what successful coaches do, and that's what successful do. So you got to always be, mindful of how the team feels, and you got to be able to address it. And I think guys like Matt Rhule, they meet those issues head on, And I think it leads to the type of success you're seeing them having.
I got two more NFL questions right before we get to what you're doing right now with the youth, and what you're doing is great in terms of football and getting some of those kids acknowledged as LaVar Arrington's on with us. Before we get to that, though, with the Giants, a former team that you did play for a year, when you look at the Giants, they're a team that's 8-3. They've been a surprise. That defense has been very good this year, and Landon Collins is having a sensational year. Jason Pierre-Paul as well. What do you think about this Giant team this year?
I mean, the Giants are the Giants, and I think that to be good, they're going to have to be really good, because that Dallas team right now, their weakness is on defense. You got to get them on defense. But, you know, if they can continue to improve the way that they have, then they should be in the conversation for either a wild card or maybe a push to try to get that divisional title or crown. But it's going to be tough. I mean, it's going to be tough. Healthy. It's just going to be hard. It's going to be hard to unseat them the way that they're playing, because they got the right formula. Strong offensive front. They can run the ball. They got a heady quarterback that is poised to continue to play well. I mean, seeing the way he played the second time around against Washington, you realize that the kid doesn't have any signs of slowing down. So, you know, when you look at what the Giants bring to the table, they're going to have to continue to raise their game, and they're going to have to maintain the pace that Dallas is maintaining. That along the way, something happens with Dallas where they give them an opportunity to possibly, you know, sneak in there, or not even sneak in there, or however you want to look at it. But that's you know, they're going to have to continue to raise their level of play, because it looks as though that the East is a little bit more competitive than what people may have even originally thought they would be.
Yeah, that East, no doubt about it's competitive. A team that's dropped off has been the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
They're now at 5-6, but they have a really good quarterback in Carson Wentz. When you see Wentz on film, what type of quarterback do you see?
I mean, he started off really hot. That's why I was just basically saying about Prescott. Like, generally, when you see a guy that's a younger guy, a rookie guy, once you get to that next level that you can have the season and there's enough film on you, defenses can just
LaVar, you're breaking up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You're back now. Sorry, you were breaking up there.
I'm sitting in one place. I'm trying not to even move, except maybe it's all of this knowledge going through this phone that's knocking the signal all out of whack or whatever. But you know, I think that they have a pretty good future if they can build on some of the pieces that they put in place, and you know, obviously most importantly the quarterbacks.
All right, well, make sure you don't move around right now, because I want to get the listeners to know very well about what you're doing with the youth right now. And I know you have a big All-Star game coming up soon, so tell me about what you're doing right now.
Thank you so much. It's called the All-Stars Bowl. It's the biggest, baddest 8th grade All-Star game that's out. It's just the only free All-Star game out there. You could go to extremeprecision.com. That's an X and a P. PRO Pro, it's like being extreme pro, or you can go to prospects.com, and it's a pretty cool deal, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to encourage participation. We're also trying to encourage academic and being an athlete at the same time. So keep track keeping track of your career and your academics through videos, through art, through your report cards, putting all those things in one singular place where you can actually get the exposure that you're trying to look for as a prospect. And it's connected to this 8th grade All-Stars Bowl game, which is actually the second after the Under All-American game. Played on the same.
LaVar, you there?
For the parents. Did I go out?
Yeah, you went out in the last 4 seconds of what you were trying to say.
Well, it's connected to the Under Armour and part of.
Hey, LaVar, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. There's LaVar Arrington joining us. A little rough cell phone at the end, but we worked through it on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920, the Jersey, 609-919-9200. We'll tweet out the links as well on the accounts that you could follow just in case if the connection was a little bit bad on that cell phone, which it was towards the end, so you can make sure that you see what's going on with what LaVar Arrington's doing. Time right now in the Princeton Orthopedic Associates Studios, 5:38. That was LaVar Arrington. This is myself, Zach Gelb. We'll take a quick break. When we get back, we'll talk a little bit about that college football playoff. I'll tell you who I think are the 4 best teams, and then I'll tell you who the 4 teams that will get in. We'll do that next on the Zach Gelb Show.